If you believe real change starts with real awareness, smash that subscribe button, share this video, and join us in uncovering the stories the world needs to hear. Behind the cheering crowds and waving flags, a darker truth lurks. The Olympics aren't just games. They're a billion-dollar gamble that leaves nations broken. So why do they keep playing? The Olympics are sold to us as a celebration of human achievement, a beautiful moment where nations come together in unity and pride. But behind the spectacle, there's a side few ever see. Hidden under the medals and parades is a ruthless billion-dollar machine built on debt, politics, and broken promises. Why do countries still fight for a chance to host something that could destroy their economies? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the true business model of the Olympic Games. And the truth will shock. If you think the Olympic Games are all about selling stadium tickets and celebrating athletic glory, think again. The real jackpot for the International Olympic Committee, IOC, lies somewhere you might never even imagine: broadcasting rights. More than half of the IOC's massive revenue doesn't come from ticket sales, corporate sponsorships, or merchandise stalls. It comes directly from selling the rights to air the games to television networks worldwide. Just to give you an idea of how massive this is, NBC Universal, one of the biggest American media companies, paid a jaw-dropping $7.75 billion just to secure the rights to broadcast the Olympics in the United States through 2032. That's not a typo. Billions, not millions. And it's not just an American obsession. Networks from around the globe, from Japan's NHK to Britain's BBC, fight fiercely for the chance to bring the Olympics to their audiences. Why? Because airing the games guarantees massive audiences glued to their screens and opens the floodgates for billions in advertising revenue. But here's the shocking part that most viewers never think about. Most of that broadcasting money never benefits the host cities, or even the athletes. While cities spiral into crushing debt-building grand stadiums and Olympic villages, and athletes often scrape by just to qualify for the games, the IOC quietly keeps a massive chunk of the broadcast revenue safely locked away. According to the IOC's most recent financial disclosures, over $3 billion in broadcasting revenue was pulled in during the Tokyo 2020 Games, even though COVID restrictions meant that stadiums were eerily empty. And let's not forget the issue of control. The IOC doesn't just sell the broadcasting rights and walk away. They maintain tight, almost obsessive control over exactly how the games are filmed, edited, and narrated. Every shot, every camera angle, every replay is carefully managed to present the Olympics as a flawless, perfect spectacle, no matter what chaos might be unfolding behind the scenes. Ever notice how protests, controversies, or empty seats are almost never shown during Olympic coverage? Now you know the reason why. The public sees only what the IOC wants them to see, because for the IOC, protecting the Olympic brand is just as important as celebrating athletic achievement. And the battle for broadcasting dominance is only getting more intense. In today's fast-changing digital world, it's no longer just TV networks competing for Olympic content. Streaming platforms like YouTube, Peacock, TikTok, and others are now carving out lucrative deals to showcase Olympic highlights, viral clips, and even live-streamed events. NBC's streaming service, Peacock, went all in during the Paris 2024 Games, heavily promoting exclusive Olympic coverage to attract younger viewers, especially those who rarely watch traditional TV anymore. In short, the Olympic Games are no longer just an athletic competition. They are a global entertainment product, tailored and polished for maximum profit. And it leaves us with a burning question. If the Olympics are making billions just by broadcasting the events into our homes, who's really winning? And who's left carrying the debt, the abandoned stadiums, and the broken promises? The truth is far darker than the bright lights of the opening ceremony suggest. If you thought broadcasting rights were the only river of gold fueling the Olympics, think again. There's another cash machine that's just as powerful: corporate sponsorships. At the heart of this billion-dollar machine is the TOP program, short for the Olympic Partners. This elite group includes mega corporations like Coca-Cola, Visa, Samsung, Airbnb, Toyota, and many more. Brands you see splashed everywhere during the games. These companies pay hundreds of millions of dollars each for the exclusive right to associate themselves with the Olympic rings, arguably one of the most powerful symbols in the world. And here's a mind-blowing fact to sink in. During the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, despite the pandemic, despite no crowds, the IOC still pulled in over $2 billion just from sponsorship deals alone. And it's not just about putting logos on banners around stadiums. These brands secure exclusive marketing rights, from TV commercials to special Olympic-themed product packaging to sponsoring athletes and hosting luxury events during the Games. When you see a Coca-Cola ad tied to the Olympics, it's not just selling you a drink. It's selling you a feeling of victory, of unity, of pride, and believe it or not, it works incredibly well. Studies consistently show that brand favorability soars for companies linked to the Olympics, making the multi-million-dollar sponsorship fees well worth every penny. But it leaves us wondering again, are the Olympics still about honoring athletic greatness, or have they quietly become the most powerful marketing machine on earth? Stick with us, because the deeper we dig, the darker the truth becomes. But ask yourself, are these brands truly supporting the spirit of sports, or are they simply buying your loyalty and emotions? For global corporations, sponsoring the Olympics is an emotional marketing jackpot. When you see a Coca-Cola ad tied to the Olympics, it's not just selling you a soda, it's selling you a feeling, victory, pride, global unity, and it works. Studies show brand favorability for Olympic sponsors skyrockets during and after the Games. Meanwhile, the IOC laughs all the way to the bank. They collect sponsorship money up front, guaranteeing income without ever touching the financial risks that cities and athletes face. If a Games flops like Rio 2016, maybe the sponsors suffer some PR hits, but the IOC's profits stay untouched. Here's another mind-blowing stat. Top sponsors are locked into contracts estimated to be worth over $3 billion through 2032. And that's not even counting local sponsorships, which bring in even more cash at every single Games. But it raises a deeper, more uncomfortable question. Are the Olympics still about celebrating human achievement, or have they become the world's most sophisticated marketing machine? Stick around, because the deeper we dig, the darker and more unbelievable the story becomes. And if you think the Olympic money train stops at TV rights and sponsorships, you're still missing a huge piece of the puzzle: merchandising and licensing. Every time you buy an official Olympic jacket, a plush toy mascot, a commemorative mug, or even a keychain, a big chunk of that money flows right back into the Olympic empire. Olympic licensing deals alone generate hundreds of millions during every Games. And get this, even with Tokyo 2020's strict pandemic restrictions, Tokyo's organizing committee managed to sell over $500 million worth of official Olympic merchandise. T-shirts, caps, collectible pins. You name it, people bought it. And guess what? Most of that money didn't go back to athletes or struggling local communities. It went straight into covering massive cost overruns and lining the pockets of administrators and marketers. But here's something that should really make you pause. Where does your $50 Olympic souvenir money actually end up? Officially, a fraction is supposed to support youth sports and Olympic development programs. But critics argue the majority vanishes into administrative expenses, bloated marketing campaigns, and more perks for the IOC and their partners. And there's an even darker side. Many Olympic souvenirs are mass-produced in low-wage countries, often under troubling labor conditions. So while the Games preach ideals of fairness, unity, and human dignity, their merchandise often tells a very different, far less noble story. The money-making machine has gone digital too. Today, you can buy Olympic-themed NFTs, mobile games, and exclusive digital collectibles, turning even the digital dream into a lucrative business. The dream of owning a piece of the Olympics has never been more accessible or more profitable for those in charge. But it leaves us with a sobering question. When you proudly wave that Olympic flag, are you truly celebrating human achievement? Or are you fueling a billion-dollar branding empire hidden behind golden medals? Stay with us, because the biggest revelations are still ahead. And finally, you might ask, if hosting the Olympics often leaves cities drowning in debt and abandoned dreams, why do countries keep fighting so hard to host them? The answer isn't just money, it's something even more valuable in today's world: soft power. Hosting the Olympics is often sold as a once-in-a-generation opportunity, a golden chance to rebrand a nation's image in front of billions of viewers worldwide. The stage, the spotlight, the spectacle. It's a chance to tell the world a new story. Just think about Beijing 2008. China spent over $40 billion to create a flawless spectacle. Dazzling stadiums, breathtaking ceremonies, record-breaking performances. It was more than just a sporting event. It was a bold political message. China used the Olympics to announce itself as a modern, powerful, and unstoppable force on the global stage, even while serious human rights concerns loomed just beneath the surface. The world watched, and many believed the message. Or look at London 2012. Britain was struggling through economic hardships at the time. Unemployment was high, public confidence was shaky. But when the Games opened, none of that mattered. London's Olympics showed resilience, pride, and unity to the world. The Games sparked a national revival of spirit, if only temporarily. It's not just about winning medals anymore. It's about winning global respect and rewriting a country's story in front of billions. But here's the harsh twist. This massive gamble doesn't always pay off. Athens 2004 is a haunting example. The birthplace of the Olympics poured billions into new stadiums and facilities, hoping to spark an economic boom and a cultural renaissance. Instead, it left behind over $15 billion in debt, dozens of abandoned venues, and a growing resentment that many Greeks still carry today. Many economists argue the Athens Olympics contributed to the devastating Greek financial collapse that followed a few years later. And Rio 2016? Brazil promised a bright, vibrant, transformational games that would uplift the nation. But today, Rio's once glorious Olympic parks and stadiums sit abandoned and decaying. Entire neighborhoods were displaced. Billions were spent. Corruption scandals erupted. The promised transformation never came. Only growing poverty, anger, and broken promises. Still, countries keep chasing the Olympic dream. Why? Because when it works, the payoff can be massive. Hosting the Games can boost tourism, open up international trade deals, and reposition a country on the global stage. It's a short-term spectacle that political leaders love, even if their own citizens end up footing the long-term bill. And today, Paris 2024 is walking that same dangerous tightrope. France hopes the Games will boost national pride, tourism, and economic recovery. But already, critics are sounding alarms. Massive budget overruns, displacement of local communities, and protests across Paris show that even a sustainable Olympics is far from guaranteed. Los Angeles 2028 is trying to dodge the Olympic curse by reusing existing stadiums like the LA Memorial Coliseum and SoFi Stadium. They promise a leaner, cheaper Olympics. But we've heard those promises before, haven't we? And that leads us to the uncomfortable truth. Is it even possible to host a truly sustainable Olympics? Or is it just another shiny illusion sold to desperate cities looking for their moment in the sun? One thing's certain. For politicians and power players, the Olympics aren't just about sports anymore. They're about rewriting history, leaving a legacy, even if the price is hidden from public view. But the deeper you dig into the Olympic dream, the more you see how often it ends in brutal, painful reality. Hosting the Olympics is supposed to be a golden opportunity, but for most cities, it quickly turns into a nightmare they can never escape. Let's rewind to Montreal, 1976. The city dreamed big, hoping to make history and boost Canada's global image. But when the final bills rolled in, the people of Montreal were left drowning in over $1.5 billion of debt. It took the city 30 long years, yes, 3 decades, to finally pay off the cost of hosting the Games. Was it worth it? Ask the citizens still paying the price decades later, and you'll get a resounding no. Fast forward to Athens 2004. The city that birthed the Olympics hoped to reclaim its ancient glory. Instead, it left behind haunting images, abandoned stadiums, rusting pools, crumbling sports complexes. What was once a source of pride became a painful reminder of misplaced hopes and broken economies. And who could forget Rio 2016? Brazil promised a celebration of life, culture, and triumph. Instead, the world watched a city struggling with unfinished infrastructure, displaced communities, growing poverty, and rotting Olympic venues just months after the Games ended. And it doesn't stop there. Sochi 2014 in Russia spent over $50 billion, the most expensive Olympics in history. New stadiums, massive infrastructure projects, glittering hotels. And today, most of it sits empty, gathering dust, while critics question how much corruption and waste was buried beneath all that concrete. Even the upcoming Paris 2024 Olympics, which proudly promote sustainability, are already facing massive protests and spiraling costs. Displacement of residents, environmental concerns, budget overruns. The familiar warning signs are already flashing bright and clear. Which brings us to the real burning question. Why do cities keep bidding for something that so often leaves them financially and socially crippled? The answer, like so much in life, is hope and politics. Local governments dream of tourism booms, billion-dollar trade deals, and global prestige. But reality tells a much different story. For every Barcelona 1992 success story, there are far more Montreals, Athens, Rios, and Sochis left picking up the shattered pieces for decades. And yet, the bidding wars continue. Cities keep lining up, convinced they'll be different, that they'll beat the odds and break the cycle. But history speaks louder than promises. And it's a lesson many politicians conveniently ignore when chasing the bright lights, global applause, and their own personal legacies. Because at the end of the day, the Olympic dream often comes with a devastating price tag, and it's almost always the ordinary people who end up paying it. And believe it or not, it gets even worse when you look closer at who's really calling the shots behind the scenes. Meanwhile, the IOC locks in guaranteed profits from broadcasting, sponsorships, and licensing, long before the opening ceremony even begins. And guess who gets no real say? The taxpayers footing the bill. Even scandals don't seem to hurt them. From bribery accusations to human rights controversies, the IOC remains shockingly immune. When cities like Boston, Hamburg, and Rome started pulling out of the 2024 bidding process after public outrage, did it stop the games? Nope. The IOC simply handed the games to Paris. Business as usual. It raises a chilling question. Is the Olympics truly a celebration of humanity, or a golden racket protected by untouchable elites? The truth is, no matter how many cities collapse under the weight of broken promises, the IOC always wins. And as long as they keep cashing billions and facing no consequences, the Olympic cycle of hope and heartbreak will continue. But now that you know the real story, will you ever see the Olympic flame the same way again? From dazzling opening ceremonies to heart-stopping victories, the Olympics have given the world unforgettable moments. But behind the gold medals and shining smiles lies a truth far less glamorous. A billion-dollar empire built on hope, politics, and broken promises. While host cities drown in debt and abandoned stadiums rot away, the International Olympic Committee continues to profit, untouched and unstoppable. The dream of unity and celebration too often hides the brutal cost that ordinary people are forced to pay. And yet, cities keep chasing the dream. Nations keep waving their flags. Millions keep tuning in, believing in the magic. But after seeing the real business model behind the games, one has to wonder, is it time for a different kind of Olympic legacy? One that values people over profits? Because if we don't start asking the hard questions now, how much longer can the world afford to play along? Watch our full video series exposing the hidden business behind global mega events, linked below. And if you believe real change starts with real awareness, smash that subscribe button, share this video, and join us in uncovering the stories the world needs to hear.